you're saying, or it seems that you're saying, is that I'm calling for a depth to take root, to get to know, I mean, rediscover who God is, rediscover who we are as created individuals, and then that will permeate every relationship that we have, which is itself an understanding or an outworking of what the gospel is. Now, elaborate on that. I mean, do you agree? Do you disagree? Or I'm only getting a smidge of it?
No, it's a good point. I think we have to, we have to assess what do we really value, what do we really want to do with our lives, and how we want to form our lives. And I know in my own life, I'm the president. My life is completely packed from stem to stern. When I came to Asbury, I had the spirituality of a professor from Gordon Conwell. And when I got here, I realized early on that I was not spiritually equipped to handle the responsibilities and the decisions and all that I had to face, and just the endless issues that are before me. And yet my time is, I'm traveling every weekend. I'm speaking all over the country. It's very difficult to work it out. And so my wife and I realized at some point I either had to leave the position and just give it up and say, I got to go back to what I know, which is teaching in the classroom, or I have to go to a deeper place in the Lord. So I would say, if you looked at my schedule, you would say, I have no discretionary time. How can I make it happen? But what I found was, my wife and I said, this was in 2012. I came here in 2009. This was in 2012. We decided to carve out an hour a day, an extra hour a day on top of everything else, to spend time completely in prayer and in the Psalms every day, the two of us together. And so we said, let's do this for 150 days and just see what happens after 150 days. So we did that. That started in 2012, and we have continued that to this very present day, including this morning.
Wow.
What I found was, despite, if I'm traveling, I might be in India or whatever, we still do it over the phone even, or Skype or whatever.
Wow.
We do it. It doesn't matter where I am, what I'm doing, in an airplane, in the airport or whatever, we do it. And I found that I've been so immersed in the Psalms since 2012 that it's become a part of who I am in terms of how I relate to the world, understand things. This was like one of the most formational. I don't get into all this, but since you asked, but
This is awesome. This is awesome
for my life. And so I had been like a lot of Christians. I'd become a Christian early on. I'd gone through kind of the normal kind of growth spurt you have. But then I went through years of just kind of like almost flat. I didn't know I was growing. I was just simply maintaining my faith. And suddenly I found myself in a growth period again, like I haven't had since I was a young Christian. It was very, very powerful for me. And it taught me that if we are hungry enough to really want to be formed by the gospel, the Lord will give us space and show us space in our lives to do it. And we found that true in our lives. And my life, if anything, the last 8 years has gotten, or 10 years now, since I started this, gotten more complicated. And yet we are just persistently determined to keep growing in our faith. That's the church that we have to see reborn, and is that determination to stay before God, because this culture desperately needs authentic Christianity that's truly transformed. And they are not impressed by shallow Christianity. They're not impressed by all this. And we will never change the world by this, because we ourselves aren't changed. But if we're changed and we can show radical forgiveness, radical love, radical acceptance, yet also ourselves radically transformed, it's a powerful thing. And I still believe in it. I believe it's very possible. I don't believe the world can ever spin too fast for us to walk with the Lord.